Elya's fists tightened into balls. This boy had a servant bot of his own. What in all the livable worlds did he need with a lonesome gear? Besides, that gear belonged to Elya. He'd found it, so it was his by rights. More importantly, it came from Yuzo 6, so it had more sentimental value than all the other parts he'd collected put together. Elya shoved his way through the crowd, ignoring the sounds of scratching and arguing coming from Arn, who was still tangled up with Roger, and ignoring his mother's cries as she tried to pull the two apart. Elya closed the distance to the merchant's son in a few quick strides. As it became apparent where Elya was headed, the servant bot stepped forward and put himself between Elya and the snot-nosed boy, whose name was... What was his name? Elya couldn't remember. It didn't matter. "That's mine," Elya said, pointing an accusing finger at the boy's tunic where he had tucked the gear away. "What is?" the boy said, touching an artistic hand to his chest and putting on his best confused face. Elya barely recognized the fury seething through his bones and causing him to curl his toes in his boots. Words shot straight from his aching heart to his tongue, bypassing his brain completely. "You know what?" Elya growled. The boy looked around, then up at the bot. "I really don't. Do you, Ambit?" The bot cocked its head and glanced between the two of them. "I am no longer certain, Master Kristoff." Oh, that's right. The boy had introduced himself as Chris when they played Aliak together on the Mammoth. "Chris, please, I need that back." "Or what?" he asked, his tone mocking. "I just need it back." Kristoff shrugged. "Not my problem," he said, dropping the feigned ignorance now that it no longer benefited him. "You have one of mine, and now I have one of yours. It seems to me like we're even. I won that power switch fair and square, and you know it. You didn't win the gear. You just stole it. It's not yours." Kristoff shrugged and studied his perfectly buffed nails. How had this rich brat managed to stay so clean on the Mammoth when Elya felt as if he'd been covered in a layer of dirt for a month? "Finders keepers." This sent Elya into a rage, partly because he used the same justification to keep the gear in the first place, but there had been no encounter with the gear's owner when he discovered it. For all Elya knew, the golden gear had materialized out of thin air. It was just there, in his hands, absent of any question of ownership. Elya had felt like it belonged to him the first moment he laid eyes upon it, and was careful to keep it private so that no such questions arose. By the time they were clear of the planet's atmosphere, the gear really was his. There was no possibility of finding the owner. It was his by rights, finders keepers. Powered by this sudden anger, Elya leaped forward to snatch the gear straight out of Kristoff's tunic. But the servant bot was faster. A golden arm shot out, acting like a barricade that kept Elya at a safe and harmless distance. Someone screamed. Only after bruising his knuckles and chipping his fingernails, clawing and thrashing at the bot, and failing to gain so much as a centimeter, did Elya realize the animal noise was coming from his own throat. "What is the meaning of this?" a fat, bearded man with a triangular hat bellowed, marching up from behind Kristoff. "I don't know, Father," Kristoff said. "This underfed gutter rat attacked me for no reason. If Ambit wasn't here—" "Guards!" the man bellowed. "Guards!" Elya froze. Guards were bad. Guards were real bad. Where did Arn and Roger go?